All right, guys, so we're looking at Kiss Cold Gin today. I'm going to show you some inside scoops on how to play some of these things. I didn't cover one part on the original video I'm going to show you here. At the beginning of this song, usually he will do a trick where he has the guitar cut in and out. I'm going to show you how to do that. He uses a Les Paul, Ace Frehley does, and a lot like this one. And with a Les Paul, you actually have two sets of controls. You have volume and tone for each pickup, which means a trick that you can do is turning the volume completely off on the neck pickup, so when I'm switch up, the guitar cuts out. So I can do this. And he does that at the beginning of the song. Now, his will sustain a lot better than mine because he's really, really loud, playing through a Marshall amplifier at like 10. So it will just start to feed back and sound really cool. But all we're doing is turning the volume off on the neck pickup and then using the toggle switch. As soon as it hits the middle position, it will short the guitar out and it'll be totally off. So it sounds like this again. You can watch some old video and you can see Ace Frehley doing that. So check that out. We're holding the A5 chord, which is the first chord for the song, the 9th fret on the 3rd string, 7th fret on the 4th string, and the open 5th string included. It's called an A5 chord. And we just hit the switch back and forth. Now, one thing to note, when you have your guitar set up like this, if you're playing the rest of the song and you bump your switch, the guitar turns off. So if you're playing it live, you do have to consider don't hit that switch after the beginning trick. All right, so we're going to turn this one up so I don't turn it off during the middle of the song. All right, so we're going to do A5. We're going to take that shape, drop back 2 frets to the 5th fret on the 4th string, 7th fret on the 3rd, still including the open 5th string. That's your G chord. It's called a GA. And we're going to drop our index finger only back to the 4th fret of the 4th string, leaving our little finger on the 7th fret of the 3rd string, and that becomes our DA chord. And then back to the G by just bringing that index finger back up, back to DA, G, slide up to the A, and then A again. Now the first pass, we just hit the A5 one time at the beginning, and from now on we'll play it twice. All down strums on that, so it's a fairly simple rhythm. I am putting some rest between each one of the chords, a very, very short 8th rest, so it's not much of a rest, but there is silence there. If you played it all running together, it would sound like this. Totally not right. We want to have that staccato, that broken sound, so. And the way I'm getting that is after I smack the chord, I let the heel of my hand just drop down on the strings and stop the string. So we get silent. All right, so that's the intro of the song. We played through that several times. A total, this part here, we play that 7 times, and then we do the first part, the very first time, with a single strike on A. So including that, it's 8 times through it before we get to the verse. Once we get to the verse, 2 strikes on the A5 chord, and then silence, 2 strikes on the G, then we go back to the. Do that again, it's just 2 strikes on the A, 2 strikes on the G, and then. And that's the verse of the song. So it's just up. So before we get to the chorus, though, you may have noticed I'm hitting the A5 twice, and then the G5, and then I'm just going to hit the A5 once. And I do that between all of the chords in the verse except at the end, where then I'll go. And then twice. And that goes into the chorus, and that's up next. Alright guys, so now we're going to look at the chorus for Cold Gin. It's going to start with a new chord we haven't played yet. It's an E5 chord. I'm going to hold the 9th fret of the middle 2 strings, 3rd and 4th strings at the 9th fret. I'm going to do that with just my ring finger, the first section of my ring finger. Index finger is going to hold down the 7th fret of the 5th string, and I'm going to add the open 6th string. I'm going to hit that E5 twice. And then again twice. Then we're going to drop down to what's called a G5 D chord. A little bit interesting chord to play. It's going to be the 8th fret on the 2nd string, 7th fret on the 3rd, and then the 5th fret on both the 4th and 5th strings. We're going to hit that G5 once. It's G5 D because the bass note's D. And we're going to hit it once, and then right down to a D chord, which is going to be 7, 7, 7 on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings, 5th fret on the 5th string, and that's going to be, it's a very quick switch. You have to really practice that. So all that together is going to be the E5 2 different times, and then doing the G and the D like this. It's very quick, so you have to practice that a lot to get that down. After we go through that one time, like this, then we're going to do the E5 and slide off of it like this. I'm just dragging the chord down, so it's just... Now that sound is where I'm going to touch the strings and just go and give you that muted sound. So slowly it'll be like this. And that's how we play the chorus. At the end of the chorus, there's going to be a fill riff. There are 3 separate fill riffs, so I'm going to play each one of those for you separately. After the first chorus, all we're going to do is play the 12th fret on the 2nd string, the 14th fret on the 3rd string, bending the 14 a full step to do what's called a unison bend, and we're going to do that twice. First time just up, next time with vibrato. So at the end of the chorus, it'll be like this. Back to the intro to the verse. Now you may have noticed on the intro to the verse, or in between the chorus and the next verse, we're going to play this with a single strike and a double strike on the A. And they always play that section that way between the chorus and the next verse. All right, after the second chorus, we have a second riff that goes on, and it'll be a little bit more involved. You can look at your tab sheets, make sure you print those out. And it's going to be basically a pentatonic riff in E. It's going to start at the 15th fret of the 1st string to the 12th fret of the 1st string like this. You play the 15, and then you play 12, 15, 12 with a hammer and a pull. And then you go do the same thing on the 2nd string. 3rd string, 14, 12, 14, and 4th string. And then in the studio version, he'll play the 14 on the 5th string and then the 12 on the 5th string, sustaining that because a second track would come in and play the rhythm. But we need to get back to the rhythm, so what I'm going to suggest doing is we end on the 14th fret of your 5th string and go right back to the chord for the next verse. So let's check this out. I'll play it slowly. It's going to be... back. So again, that's... I would do that with just my index and my ring finger. So one more time, slow. So do it slow. Make sure you use our looper function here to go over that. That's probably one of the hardest riffs in the song, but it's a really cool riff. Happens after the second chorus. Now after the third chorus, we have a riff that's different yet. It's going to be like this. Kind of an odd riff. It's chromatic. We're going to go up 13, 14, 15, and 16 on your 3rd string, playing against the 12th fret on the 1st and 2nd strings. So the first section is going to be 13 on the 3rd string, and then 12, 12 singly on the 2nd and the 1st. And then when you go to the 14 on the 3rd string, we're just going to hit the 2 12s together, and then the 15, and finally the 16 with a single note on the 3rd string. So again, together it's like this, slow. Now I like to slide into this riff, so slide up on the 13. And slide off on the 16. I don't have them marked as slides on the tab sheet, but I like playing them that way, and a lot of times when he played this song live, he would do that. All right, next part's coming up. Okay guys, so we're looking at Cold Gin by Kiss. The section we're going to look at now really has nothing to do with the rest of the song. It's totally different. I just found out recently that this section of the song was written by Gene Simmons and added to this song. He did not get writing credit for it because this was actually an Ace Frehley song, but he did write this section of the song because he felt it needed something a little bit different. And this is totally different than the rest of the song. We're going to start out with a big G chord, just a regular open G. That's the 3rd fret of the 1st, the 2nd, and the 6th string, 2nd fret of the 5th string, and the open middle 2 strings, 3rd and 4th, and we just let that sizzle for 4. And then we're going to be doing G5, which is the 3rd fret of the 6th string, 5th fret of the 5th string, 2 strikes. Move that down 1 to a C5, which would be 3rd fret of the 5th string, 5th fret of the 3rd. And then we're going to do this crazy riff. So it's a speed. It's ends up on the E5 there. Now I didn't walk you through every one of the frets I played there because I felt that if I did, it would really make this really hard to grasp. So download the tab sheets, slow them down. It's a very simple riff, but to play it to speed is kind of tricky. It's a lot of teetering back and forth between half steps there, that 3rd and 2nd. And it's the G5 and the C5. And then we move the whole thing up 2 frets to the A5, which is 5th fret on the 6th string, 7th fret on the 5th, and then drop it down to D5, which would be 5th fret on the 5th, 7th fret on the 4th, and then the same kind of riff with the 5 and the 4. And we play the E5 there. So, this is a hairy part of the song. Slow it down, use the tab sheets over and over and over again. I think you'll be able to grasp it. It's not that we're playing a lot of notes, it's just that it's fairly quick and a little bit quirky to play. Now, the hardest part of this song by far is this ending riff. I verified that this is the way he plays it. It's going to be played with an E5 chord, which is basically going to be the 9th fret on the middle 2 strings, 7th fret on the 5th string, open 6th string. We're going to strike that twice. All right, so the E5 riff is like this. And what I'm doing there is I'm holding the E5 chord, and I have to reach out with my pinky, play the 12th fret of the 5th string, pulling off, and play the 9th fret I'm holding of your 4th string. So then I move the little finger down to the 11th fret on the 5th string, pull off, and play that 9th fret again on the 4th string. So it's a very hard riff because of the distance you're stretching. Then strike the chord twice. You do that 3 times. So this is the tricky part of the song. I really watched a lot of videos to make sure this is what Ace Frehley was playing, and it is. It's exactly what he's playing. So if you want to nail it, that's what you're doing. So again, the E5 chord, open 6th string, 7th fret of your 5th, 9th fret of the middle 2 strings, 2 strikes on that, including the 6th string. And then the riff is actually going to be stretching up, 12th fret on the 5th string, pulling off to 7th fret on the 5th string, and then picking the 9th fret on the 4th. So it's then chord. Notice I'm also stopping the chord from ringing before I play the riff, so it's ending up with a, and chords there are going to be an E5 chord just playing the 5th fret, I'm sorry, the 5th string, 7th fret, and the 9th fret on the 4th string. Dropping that back to D at the 5 and 7 on the 5th and the 4th string. Stretching it out to what's called an A C sharp, which is going to be the 4th fret on the 5th string and still 7th fret on the 4th. So it's, and then back to the A5. And they go into a final chorus. It's a really fun song to play. I really enjoy it. It's very popular. You'll find many, many versions of this on the internet, so make sure you check them out. And I hope you're enjoying us at GuitarAnimal.com here. I'm Trent.